Because what we'll be talking about today is something that is germane to the people of our great country. I mean, we'll be talking about the stand of ICPC on recovery of stolen assets. Stand of ICPC on recovery of stolen assets. But before going to that, I would like to welcome my guest, the resident anti-corruption commissioner of Osun State, resident anti-corruption commissioner, ICPC of Osun State, person of Prince Olatunji Yusuf. Prince Olatunji Yusuf, good morning, sir.
Good morning, presenter. Thank you for having me here this morning.
Exactly. And how have you? I mean, you are actually new in Osun State, and how are you feeling? How is Osun treating you?
Oh, it's cool, and the environment is serene. At least I've worked several places in Nigeria. Osun is one of the places I think I'm enjoying the working.
So far you've been enjoying Osun State, right?
So far since my inception here, Osun has been a very good place and very homely.
Okay,
So
very good.
And the situation here is calm compared to some other areas. So it's a good place.
All right. Just like I said, today we're talking about the stand of ICPC on recovery of stolen assets. And not just that, we're talking about what ICPC really means, and the roles of ICPC, the roles of ICPC in our country, in our state, and also how do ICPC recover stolen assets? After recovering the stolen assets, what do ICPC do with this stolen assets? These are the things we're talking about today. But firstly, let's talk about what ICPC really means. What does ICPC actually mean?
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. ICPC means Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. It's a creation of law. Act 12 of year 2000. It was created in year 2000 to fight corruption, and so far so good. Since the creation of the commission has really put fight this to the fight against corruption. Prior to creation of ICPC, there have been several laws, several creation of enactment to fight corruption, such as our penal laws, criminal code, like that. It's not as if they've not really done something, but when the government then felt this is a major problem confronting the country, they have to create a special institution that will be tasked with fighting corruption, and that is why ICPC was created in the year 2000.
Okay, now let's go into the roles of ICPC. Now that we've actually known the meaning of ICPC, what are the roles of ICPC in our state?
ICPC, like I earlier said, is a creation of law. The laws that create ICPC shoulder their responsibility to fight corruption. The law actually make it the fighting in three prongs way. We have the enforcement, we have the preventive, and we have the enlightenment. Fighting corruption is not just to start with enforcement. People might not really know what. Some people might tend to pretend not to know what is corruption. So we put forward the enlightenment, the education. That's okay. We are enlightening the people. This is corruption. This is bad. This is not good for our country. This is not good for our states. So before we now advance to enforcement, it's when people now deviate or put deviant to all this that we now use our enforcement. And enforcement include investigation and prosecution. So we received petition all on our own in course of our work, so cases and anti-corruption. We investigate it. Once we discovered it violates the law, we prosecute. we don't convict. After our investigation, we send whatever our report, our investigation goes to court, and the court will determine the guilt or otherwise of whoever involved. So that is what we do. Majorly, our objective is mainly in 3 prongs, as like I already said.
All right, now coming back to the main topic for today, which is this kind of ICPC on recovery of stolen assets. The viewers at home would like to know how ICPC actually, go about to recover stolen assets. Now, how do ICPC recover stolen assets?
Let me start by giving a background to why we have to go to recover
Stolen assets.
This is international standard requirement in the fight against corruption. We have OCAC, we have FATF, all those international agencies that do with responsibility of fighting corruption. We should tailor our work, our assignment towards recovering the looting funds, the ill-gotten asset, by depriving the criminals. When you look at it, let me give you an instance. When ICPC was created, the first case we had was alleging one member of a panel that collected some amount of money, like 10 million then. What the person said was that, I will fight back with 100 millions. It took us like 5 years because he has that money, so he's still having access to that money. He hired a lot of lawyers.
Yes.
The case was in Abuja. The lawyers would chartered flights from Lagos to Abuja. We dragged this matter for years, only for the person to just take plea, are you guilty or not guilty? We took that up to Supreme Court. It's because he has access to this money. So when you allow somebody to have access to, unless somebody has stolen money and you give him access to that kind of money, he will use that money to fight back. And that's why you see most of cases took time. People just say for long because they have. So the new approach is that, okay, let's first of all get that property away from the person, so that he will be captured from fighting on us back or fighting back. So that is the idea. And to preserve even the rest, the property itself. When somebody has stolen property, you are in the court for years, and through technicality and other things, this case is lingering for a very long time. By the time you even get the property, you have value again. You have the same value. So, but when you attract the property itself, then at least you are moving forward. And the essence is not even to this property is something that belongs to the generality of Nigeria. So when we get it, we take it back to Nigerians. That it is our property. It's not for one person. So the idea is to get the property back and preserve the property itself, so that at least one can have.
How do you get these properties? Are there some certain procedures that you do, before you can actually get these properties?
Yeah, you see, the law itself, the ICPC actually make provision. We call 2 provisions. There's one we call non-conviction based asset recovery and conviction based asset recovery. It's under the ICPC Act 2000. The non-conviction is when there is a property. This is where you attack the property itself. You are not looking for whoever is responsible. The first is, okay, attack this property. When you attach the property without even going to court, then you now carry the property, you apply to court for forfeiture. Then you present the fact that, okay, this property is a stolen property, our investigation revealed this, revealed that, so we want the court to grant us interim forfeiture. So if the court now grants this interim forfeiture, then there is a procedure. The court will give certain number of days or weeks, publish that, okay, whoever has interest in this property should come. So if anybody show up, you have to prove. Once you cannot prove how he got the property or the rightful person, then this property goes into final forfeit to the federal government of Nigeria.
Okay.
And when such property is forfeited, there is a law in Nigeria, we call it POCA, Proceed of Crime Act. POCA, Proceed of Crime Act 2022.
Okay.
This law designed how to manage the proceed of crime. That is the seized, the forfeiture property. So once it is seized and there's a final forfeiture, it's forfeited to the federal government and it will be auctioned. It's now for the government, federal government to decide what to do with the property.
Okay.
But definitely it will be deprive the looters from enjoying that.
So it's not like maybe when ICPC get these properties or seize these properties, it's not like ICPC just withhold the property and won't,
No.
Okay.
There's actually
because some people think that okay, ICPC will just withhold the property and that's all, and won't hear anything about the property again or assets again.
No, the law I mentioned now, POCA, actually mandated all the anti-corruption agencies to have a department mainly to manage such property.
Do you know why I'm asking you this question?
Please.
You know what? I'll tell you. ICPC, EFCC, people, the citizens, they always ask these questions that, okay, EFCC keep withholding funds, assets, properties and all. What are they doing with this money? What are they doing with these properties? So people keep asking these questions. And that's why I'm asking you now, being the resident commissioner of ICPC Oshu State, what do ICPC, what do you guys do with this stolen assets that you recover? What do you do with these assets?
Thank you.
And properties?
Thank you, sir. Once a property has been seized or forfeiture, it goes back to federal government. Normally, I'm not waiting for any other agency. Of recent, EFCC did a massive auctioning of some of the properties. ICPC did the same thing. So once a property is seized, we have a licensed auctioneer. After going through all the processes, we auction it back to the site, and the property I'm talking, and the proceed go back to the federal government of Nigeria, paid to designated account at the Central Bank of Nigeria. So once the property is seized, there's a procedure we follow before we seize the property. Like I already mentioned, there is conventional and not conventional, based recovery, and we managed it. The proceed goes to action. The proceed goes back to the federal government of Nigeria.
Okay, if you are just joining us, what we're talking about is the ICPC on stolen assets. Stand of ICPC on stolen assets. And our guest that's been speaking with us since is the resident anti-corruption commissioner, ICPC Oshu State, the president of Prince Olatunji Yusuf. He is the person that has been, talking to us about this focus, which is ICPC stand on recovery of stolen assets. So now, our honorable commissioner, we've talked about the meaning of ICPC, we've talked about the roles of ICPC, we've talked about how ICPC recovers stolen assets, and we've talked about what ICPC do with this recovered, stolen assets. Now, people tend to mistake ICPC for EFCC. Some people, tend to okay, ICPC and EFCC, are they doing the same thing? Are these agencies, are they actually the same? So now, what are the differences between ICPC and EFCC?
Thank you, sir. ICPC was created in year 2000, like I already mentioned. So we normally say ICPC is the leading anti-corruption agency because it's the foremost one. EFCC was created in year 2002. When you look at the two laws establishing the two agencies, it gives them their mandates. ICPC mandate or the law itself that creating ICPC is so encompassing, so broad that it takes care of so many things when it comes to fighting corruption. We mostly specialize on public corruption. What I mean by public corruption is abuse of office, taking advantage of your office, and when I say mostly public officials. However, we will look at some of the offenses created by this. There's always one individual, like a contractor offering bribe. Let's say contractor is not a public person, but is aiding a public official. So it makes a contractor to liable, like a public officer who received and whoever gives are liable. So ICPC mainly deal with official corruption, mainly. Why EFCC is created to fight economic and financial crime. Have to do like banking, insurance, and when you look at
abuse of money.
We talk Yahoo, just said okay. And when you now look at the way the two agencies operate, there's no how you be fighting. Trying to do financial crime. That you see where people are laundering money and a public officer trying to launder that money. So it brings them to ICPC or EFCC. A director stolen money, transferred the money outside Nigeria. You can see a director or public officer stealing our money outside. It's not a financial crime that has laundered money. So, and both of us operate almost the same law. That's the truth. I've seen, when you go to court and you see where EFCC is filing cases, their cases are using, prosecuting under ICPC Act. To tell you, contrary to that, ICPC Act. So
the both agencies operate simultaneously, right?
Both agencies, there's overlapping issues, like but the ultimate of the two agencies is just to fight corruption and make corruption stand still. And I don't say if they have to create hundreds of agencies to make sure that we don't have corruption in Nigeria, so be. The ultimate is let's have a corrupt-free Nigeria.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate. But there's actually overlapping duties when it comes to operation.
So what you're trying to say in essence is there are some certain relationships between EFCC and ICPC.
I agree with you. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
But if you are to go by the law, EFCC just created for financial and economic crime. While ICPC is just to do with public crime, public officials, and public office holders.
Okay. There's this question that's been parading the hair, for quite a while now. People actually want to know if ICPC only concentrates on government officials alone or general public.
That's not true, because at times a giver of a bribe is guilty, the receiver is guilty, and even when you see some of these crimes, most of our investigations discover that most public officials use private individuals. So if a private individual connived or conspired with a public officer, it's not a difference that no, I'm not a public officer, I'm a private person. No. Companies are involved in awarding of contracts. Secured a contract. If a company submitted a fake document to secure the contract, it's guilty. It's a corruption. So it's not to say it's a company, it's not a public, it's a private company, it's not a public, no. The assertion, the belief that people say, okay, I'm not a public, no. Even when you look at the ICPC Act itself, like I'm not to be citing laws there, Section 2 of the Act actually defines who can we go after, like who's a private person, who's a public person, and whether ICPC covered them. So to make it brief, we are actually following up with corrupt individual private person too. And I can tell you I've secured so many convictions that have to involve companies, private persons who are used in defrauding the government of Nigeria.
Okay, Now, Nigeria is a great country. You know, I mean, we are blessed with, I mean, permit to say we're blessed with good leaders, right? And we have so many agencies fighting corruption. And do you agree with me that corruption still persists? I mean, despite the fact that we have a lot of agencies, you know, fighting corruption, it still persists. Now, how do we stop corruption? I mean, can corruption be stopped totally?
When you look at prior before the ICPC,
Yeah.
I just want to be understand.
Yeah.
Prior before ICPC, it has become a norm when a contract is awarded to somebody, the contractor go back openly and give back his is it 10% or so why
Exactly,
they call
yes.
it, yeah, no, it's 10%. But since the inception of all these agencies, you can see even if you have to, it's not like it used to be done openly. People are now more careful. So the first thing is that people are very careful that, okay, I know there is a law now, there is something that is really keeping, I mean, watching us. So the fact that that is there, we can see the attitude of people are changing. But we cannot 100% eradicate corruption. But we can only minimize corruption. There's no anywhere in the world you say that, okay, a country is free from corruption, no matter how great that country is. But the minimum, the rating is what we look at. And looking at it again, why we have not gone far is in Nigeria today we have 774 local governments. When you put out, and the total population of Nigeria is over 250 million.
Yeah.
When you put the numbers of all the agencies, the personnel, everything together, we are less than less than 500,000. Let me put it. Any agency together, all the agencies together, we cannot schedule the fighting on these anti-corruption agencies. It has to involve everybody. So, but because many people have not really keyed into it, that is why we have not gone far beyond this. So the little the people who have gone, I mean, key into it is the little which we have achieved. But I'm believing that if all the society comes together, join us in the fight corruption, then we can eradicate or minimize corruption.
No,
so what I'm saying, sorry,
okay.
sir, what I'm saying is that the fight against corruption is not just for the anti-corruption agencies to succeed. We need all and everybody to join in the fight against corruption.
Now, is it like because you said, I mean, you need people, you need, you know, citizens, you know, to join hands with you to fight corruption. Are you saying that you need information from people, or maybe some people have some kind of vital information, you know, to fight corruption? They should come and, you know, give information to you, or what are you trying to say?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. What we actually want the community, I mean the generality of the people to do for us, one, to give us information.
Sure.
That's when I said we have 774 local governments. We cannot be everywhere.
Right.
But people can alert us. I will say when there's slur, when you see something, say something. So people can alert us and say, yeah, this is happening. We will look at it, we will examine it, we will investigate it, and once we see that, oh, it's a violation of our law, we do our work. So, but when people don't key into it, then there's nothing anybody can do. So, the fight against corruption, to succeed, we need all Nigerians to join.
All right, we've heard it all from resident corruption commissioner Prince Olatoju Yusuf. He just said it. I mean, to fight corruption, it has to do with all of us. We have to come together to fight corruption. I mean, it requires your own participation as a citizen, as a patriotic citizen of the country. It requires your own, you know, participation, and also the participation of the agencies, you know, coming together to fight corruption, and that's the only way we can actually succeed in fighting corruption. Well, due to our time, we won't be able to go further than this. But first, I must appreciate you, Prince Olatunji Yusuf, for coming on our program today. And also his entourage, the person of ACS Suleiman Laro, Education and Public Enlightenment Officer, ICPC, Osun State. Well, I'll say thank you for coming with our Commissioner, Prince Olatunji Yusuf. Well, I'm going to go on a short break now. Join us in a few while we come back for another segment of AM Cafe.